a lot of people, when they hear algorithm, they think about, the Facebook algorithm or the TikTok algorithm, right? Which is an algorithm that decides, what we see. But the term algorithm is a much broader term. It describes, a set of instructions that a computer has to follow, right? So in the case of Facebook or TikTok, it's a set of instruction that says, if this person is an influencer, we're going to push them up top, and if someone is has fewer followers, maybe lower down. But there are many, many more algorithms that are impacting our lives, and literally everywhere we look around, there is something there. Strongly believe that the moment we understand algorithms better, what are some bad things about them, what are some good things about them, we as humans can make the right choices, right? And I have plenty of stories, so that employee that you asked me about, I call them Leo Tiffish in the book, is one example. I have another one which I really love. His name is Butter Boy Nova, and he's on YouTube. He has lots of videos. He's just one individual who's very interested in sneakers, in sports shoes, right? Like Nikes and so on. And
Hmm.
he uses algorithms, he uses bots to buy those, Nike shoes that are, in high demand, so some limited editions, basically, right? Butterboy Nova typically gets maybe 20 or 30 bots, so, small kind of algorithms, and each of those bots is quickly going to the website and trying to refresh the page. And when it sees the shoes, adds it to the shopping cart, quickly checks out, and and finishes it. And they can do it in maybe 2 or 3 seconds. 30 of them, right? Do you have a chance to buy, Nike shoes when you're just typing and you're a human, and then Butterboy Nova has 30 of them, right? So this is optimistic, right? I know I kind of spinning it in a very concerning way. But what I'm really saying is, and we might not like people like Butterboy Nova, but Butterboy Nova is an example of someone who's using algorithms to kind of to become faster and be able to sort of do work 24/7, right? And that's massive. That's a really exciting space. Even if we don't like people who buy those limited edition shoes, using bots. There's this quote somewhere in the US, 10 years ago or so, there was a show, Jeopardy, and someone lost against an IBM Watson, a computer, right? And there was like a breakthrough story that a Jeopardy participant lost against an algorithm, right? IBM Watson. And then the person who lost said something like this. He said, I, for one, welcome our digital overlords, right? That was pretty much that quote. Not sure if it was digital, but like computer overlords, I think. Now, I am very concerned about that word overlords, right? Because an overlord means like a higher entity, right? Someone who's better than us. And the algorithms that I see all around the world, I mean, they might be faster, they might be sort of more precise, but they're more like minions from the movie than overlords. So now think about the movie, right? Let's say I'm Gru and I have an army of minions. And I tell them to build a house, right? And they all get excited, right? Very excited. They start building the house. You know the rest of the story, right? I look away, I go somewhere else, and 10 minutes later, it's not a house anymore, it's a fire or it's a rocket or something else, right? And it's the same with algorithms. Really, it is, right? So most of the algorithms, they sort of work very well, but they have this tendency to make mistakes every now and then. They have all sorts of surprising results, right? And if we move kind of away from the fun part, like the fun story, what it means is we have those cases like the Department for Education that creates an algorithm, and they think that this algorithm will, do the right thing. And then they look away, that they don't pay attention to what the algorithm is doing, and they just fully trusting it. And it's only the students who realize, the disaster that happened, right? Same story. There are people who buy a Tesla set it into this kind of self-driving mode, which is not a self-driving mode, right? It's just a lane following mode, and they go to the backseat or fall asleep. That's how you die, right? That's how you get into an accident and die. That's not a self-driving car. But they think it's an overlord, while it's a minion, right? It's a minion that you have to be paying attention to all the time. We tend to confuse sophistication of an algorithm with its ability to be autonomous, right? So there are very sophisticated artificial intelligence algorithms, and they're very impressive, and you see them and you think, I could never humanly do something like this, which might be correct, right? Some of those algorithms, they can play chess better than we do. They can play Go better than we do. They can fly planes better than we can. But it doesn't mean that, we should give them this autonomy. If an algorithm can fly a plane better than I can, it doesn't mean I can get rid of a pilot in that plane. It's just that that pilot will be sitting back most of the time, but there might be a situation, I don't know, I'm not a pilot, but maybe, we'll hit a flock of birds, and suddenly, the algorithm is unprepared for it. So that's when a human has to step in, and maybe the human is a worse pilot than an algorithm, but at least in this situation, the human can adapt, while an algorithm possibly, would not be able to, right? So we need to recognize that kind of AI these days is very narrow in sort of what we can do, and it could be narrow and very sophisticated, but it's human. We don't know how to fix them, but we do know, we're learning more and more how to avoid creating algorithms that are sort of broken like that, right? So this is, Camila, this is where we kind of start to expand beyond just computer science. And this is beautiful, by the way, what's happening. And we're saying we need to invite more diverse people into the process. We need to invite ethicists, people who are good at ethics, right? People who care about social aspects, people who see things that computer scientists don't see, all right? I used to live in Silicon Valley, and one of the biggest worries that I had was that Silicon Valley was blindfolded, right? It didn't see the world around around it, right? It didn't have the diversity, and that very well, the sort of bro grammar, the culture, the culture of bros, right? Just young male developers, and I know I used to look like them, right, when I was a bit younger, right? But at least sort of I hope in my mind I was a bit more sort of understanding of that, the need for that diversity. So we can fix it.